The night sky above Mason Creek was clear and full of stars. Ethan Keller drove his patrol car slowly along the dark country road. His shift as a sheriff's deputy was almost over. At 32, Ethan had seen enough action during his 3 military tours. Now he wanted peace in this small town. Ethan parked near Lake Serenity and stepped out. The cool night air felt good on his face. He looked up at the stars, thinking about his past life as a soldier. That's when he saw it. A bright green light cut across the sky. It wasn't a shooting star. It was too big, too bright, and moving too strangely. The object crashed into Lake Serenity with a massive splash. The impact sent waves across the water. Ethan didn't think twice. He ran toward the lake, pulling off his jacket. Something or someone might need help. Inside the strange craft that was now sinking into the lake, Princess Lyra fought to stay alive. Water poured in through cracks in her escape pod. Her silver eyes darted around, looking for a way out. The dead bodies of her royal guards floated nearby. She had barely escaped when the Draxonians attacked her ship. Lyra clutched a small crystal to her chest. The Nexus crystal glowed with ancient power. If the Draxonians got it, they would use it to destroy worlds. Her people, the Celestial Dominion, had protected this power for thousands of years. Now she was the last defense. The water rose to her neck. The escape pod's door was stuck. Lyra hit it with her fists, but it wouldn't open. Just as the water covered her head, the door was pulled from outside. Ethan had swum down to the strange object. It looked like nothing he had ever seen. Not a plane or helicopter. When he saw movement inside, he grabbed what looked like a door and pulled with all his strength. He pulled a strange, blue-skinned woman from the wreckage and swam her to shore. She coughed up water as he laid her on the beach. Ethan reached for his radio to call for help, but stopped when the woman grabbed his arm. Lyra held up a small device on her wrist and scanned the man who had saved her. The device showed he was human. She had found the right planet. "You're human," she said, her translator implant turning her thoughts into perfect English. Her voice was musical but filled with fear. "Can you protect me, human?" Ethan stared at her blue skin and silver eyes. Her clothes were like liquid metal, and the small crystal in her hand glowed with impossible light. This was clearly not a costume or a joke. "Who are you?" "What are you?" Ethan asked, keeping his voice calm. His military training had taught him to stay cool in strange situations, but nothing had prepared him for this. "I am Princess Lyra of the Celestial Dominion," she said, trying to stand but falling back weakly. "My ship was attacked. My people are at war. The enemy followed me here. They will come for this." She held up the crystal. Ethan looked back at the lake. The strange craft had sunk completely. "We need to get you somewhere safe," he said. He helped her to his patrol car, looking around nervously. If she was telling the truth about being followed, they might not have much time. As they drove toward Ethan's cabin in the mountains, Lyra explained more. "The Draxonians want to control all worlds. They attack, destroy, and take what they want. My people have kept peace for thousands of years. Now they are losing. And that crystal?" Ethan asked, glancing at the glowing object. "The Nexus crystal. It has power beyond anything on your world. In the wrong hands, it could destroy planets. In the right hands, it could save them." Ethan's cabin was hidden in the woods far from town. It was the safest place he could think of. As he helped Lyra inside, 3 more lights streaked across the sky. "They're here," Lyra whispered, her silver eyes wide with fear. Ethan closed all the curtains and locked the doors. He went to a trunk in his bedroom and pulled out his old military gear. If aliens were hunting them, he would be ready. He loaded his hunting rifle and checked his handgun. "Your weapons won't stop them," Lyra said, watching him. "Maybe not, but I won't go down without a fight," Ethan replied. He had faced death before in war zones. He knew how to survive against bad odds. Lyra used her wrist device to scan the area around the cabin. 3 Draxonian hunters. Elite soldiers. They're tracking my genetic signature. She touched buttons on her device. "I'm masking it, but they've already locked onto this area." "How much time do we have?" Ethan asked. "Hours, maybe less," Lyra said. She sat down weakly. "I need to repair my communicator. I need to contact any surviving Celestials. They must know I'm alive and that I have the crystal." Ethan gave her some water and food, which she carefully examined before eating. As she worked on a small broken device from her pocket, Ethan prepared the cabin. He set up tripwires around the perimeter and prepared escape routes. "Why Earth?" Ethan asked as he worked. "Of all the planets, why did you come here?" Lyra looked up from her work. "It wasn't random. Humans are special in ways you don't understand yet. There's a connection between our peoples lost to time. Something in your DNA that makes you perfect allies against the Draxonians. Ethan wasn't sure he believed her. It sounded too much like science fiction. But the blue-skinned woman with silver eyes working on alien technology was very real. As dawn broke, Lyra finally got her communicator working. But instead of relief, her face showed horror. No response. The channels are dead. She looked at Ethan with tears in her eyes. My homeworld has fallen. I may be the last of the royal line. Ethan didn't know what to say. He had seen the look of lost homelands before, in refugees during the war. He put a hand on her shoulder. We'll figure this out. The moment was interrupted by a beeping from one of Ethan's motion sensors. Something was moving in the woods around the cabin. They've found us, Lyra whispered. Ethan moved to the window and carefully looked out. At first he saw nothing. Then he noticed a strange shimmer in the air like heat waves, but it was moving with purpose. They have camouflage technology, Lyra explained. They're nearly invisible to your eyes. Ethan grabbed his rifle and night vision goggles. Stay down, he told Lyra, and be ready to run when I say. As the sun rose over Mason Creek, Ethan Keller prepared for a fight unlike any he had faced before. The small-town deputy had no idea that his past as a soldier was about to become crucial for the future of not just Earth, but galaxies beyond. The Draxonian hunters moved like shadows through the forest. Their bodies bent light around them, making them hard to see. Commander Vex led the small team. He had one clear mission: get the Nexus Crystal and kill the princess. The royal signature is in that wooden structure, Vex said to his hunters. His voice was low and raspy. The princess is weak, but be careful of the human with her. Humans are unpredictable. Inside the cabin, Ethan watched through his night vision goggles. The strange heat shapes moved closer, 3 figures spreading out to surround the cabin. We need to leave now, Ethan whispered to Lyra. They're surrounding us. Lyra nodded and clutched the crystal. There's a back way out? Yes, through the bedroom window. I've cleared a path to the old mine shaft about half a mile east. We can hide there. Just as they started to move, a blast of energy hit the cabin wall. The wood splintered and burned. Ethan pushed Lyra to the floor as another blast came through the window. Move, he shouted, pulling her toward the bedroom. A Draxonian hunter burst through the front door. In the light, Ethan could see it clearly. Tall, with gray skin like stone, yellow eyes, and armor that seemed to shift colors. It held a weapon unlike anything Ethan had seen. Acting on instinct, Ethan fired his rifle. The bullets hit the hunter but seemed to do little damage. The creature aimed its weapon. Ethan dove behind the couch, pulling Lyra with him. The energy blast hit where they had been standing. The couch wouldn't hide them for long. The back door. Run, Ethan ordered. He fired again at the hunter, aiming for its eyes. This time his shot hit true. The hunter staggered back, yellow blood streaming down its face. Ethan used the moment to grab his shotgun from beside the couch. The second shot hit the hunter in the chest, knocking it back through the door. Ethan knew it wasn't dead, but they had a chance to escape now. He and Lyra ran through the bedroom and out the window. The cool morning air hit them as they sprinted toward the trees. 2 more energy blasts hit nearby, burning the ground and trees. They can track me, Lyra said as they ran. The crystal, too. We can't just hide. Ethan led her down a steep path. His years hunting in these woods gave them an advantage. The old mine has iron and copper deposits. Might block their scanners. They reached the abandoned mine entrance. Ethan pulled away the boards covering it and they slipped inside. The darkness swallowed them. Lyra's crystal gave off enough light for them to see. The mine tunnel stretched deep into the mountain. This way, Ethan said, leading her deeper in. There's an old miner's cabin about a half mile through the mountain. We can rest there and make a plan. As they moved, Lyra explained more. The Draxonians are conquerors. They destroy civilizations and take their resources. My people, the Celestials, have kept them in check for centuries. But they found a weakness in our defenses. And now they're after that crystal? Ethan asked. The Nexus Crystal is ancient technology. It can harness energy from stars. In peaceful hands, it provides power to worlds. In Draxonian hands, it becomes a weapon that can destroy solar systems. They reached the small cabin built inside a large cavern. Old mining equipment sat rusting nearby. Ethan secured the door and checked the other exit tunnel. Why Earth? He asked again. There must be safer places to hide in space. Lyra sat down on an old wooden chair. She held up the crystal, which pulsed with soft light. Earth is special. Your sun's radiation is unique. It can amplify the crystal's power. And human, she looked at Ethan with those silver eyes. Humans are considered primitive by galactic standards, but there's something in your genetic makeup the Draxonians fear. What's that? Human adaptability. You evolve faster than any species we've encountered. You learn quickly, adjust to new situations. In the time it takes other species to develop one new technology, humans create 10. Ethan checked his weapons. The idea that aliens considered humans primitive bothered him, but he had more immediate concerns. Those hunters, what are their weaknesses? Their vision is sensitive to bright light. Their armor is strong against energy weapons but might be vulnerable to physical impacts. And they're arrogant. They underestimate other species, Ethan nodded. That last one I can work with. He rummaged through the old mining supplies and found flares, blasting caps, and an old pickaxe. We need to set a trap. We can't outrun them forever. Lyra watched as Ethan worked. You're not what I expected, she admitted. Most beings would be in shock meeting an alien. You're so calm. Ethan smiled slightly. 3 tours in war zones teaches you to adapt quickly. Besides, panicking never helps. He didn't add that he was terrified inside. He just knew how to control it. Your military training, Lyra said. That's valuable. Draxonians are born warriors, but they fight with technology and numbers. They don't understand human tactics. Ethan set up tripwires with the blasting caps near the tunnel entrance. If they follow us here, we'll have a surprise for them. Just as he finished, they heard movement in the tunnel. The hunters had tracked them faster than expected. Behind the equipment, Ethan whispered, pulling Lyra behind an old mining cart. The first hunter entered the cavern cautiously. Its camouflage wasn't working well in the darkness. Ethan could see its outline clearly. It stepped forward, sensing for life signs. The tripwire caught its foot. The blasting cap exploded, not powerful enough to kill but enough to stun the hunter. Before it could recover, Ethan threw a flare directly at its face. The bright light caused the hunter to shriek and cover its eyes. Ethan rushed forward with the pickaxe, swinging it hard at the hunter's knee joint where the armor was thinner. The hunter fell. Ethan struck again, this time at its head. The creature stopped moving. One down, Ethan said, breathing hard. He took the hunter's weapon. Let's see how this works. Lyra came out from hiding. The other 2 will know their companion is dead. They'll be more careful now. Ethan examined the alien weapon. It was surprisingly light, with no visible triggers or buttons. How do I use this? It's genetically locked to Draxonian DNA, Lyra said. It won't work for you. Ethan dropped it in frustration. Then we stick with what works. He picked up his shotgun again. A blast from the tunnel shook the cavern. Rock and dust fell from the ceiling. The remaining hunters were trying to collapse the mine. The other tunnel, Ethan said, grabbing Lyra's hand. We need to move. They ran through the second tunnel as more explosions rocked the mine. Dust filled the air, making it hard to breathe. The crystal's light guided their way. The tunnel led up to an opening on the other side of the mountain. As they emerged into daylight, Ethan saw they were near an old fire road. If we can get to the main road, I know people who can help us, Ethan said. Your government? Lyra asked doubtfully. Are you sure that's wise? Not the government. An old military buddy. He works private security now, has resources. They moved quickly down the fire road. The forest was quiet except for birds. Too quiet, Ethan thought. They're still tracking us, Lyra said, checking her wrist device. They're moving parallel to us through the trees. Ethan spotted an old maintenance shed ahead. In there, he said. I have an idea. Inside the shed were tools and an old ATV. Ethan checked the gas tank. Nearly empty, but enough for what he needed. I'm going to create a diversion, he told Lyra. When I do, run down the road. There's a ranger station 2 miles ahead. My friend Cody works there. Tell him Ethan sent you. He'll help. What about you? Lyra asked, concern in her silver eyes. I'll lead them away and circle back. He handed her his phone. Cody's number is in there. Call him if I don't show up in an hour. Ethan pushed the ATV outside and got it started. The engine was loud in the quiet forest. Perfect, he said. He took off his jacket and tied it to the handlebars. From a distance, it might look like someone riding. This won't fool them for long, Lyra said. It doesn't need to. Just long enough for you to get to safety. Ethan pointed the ATV down a side trail and used a stick to jam the throttle. The vehicle took off, his jacket flapping in the wind. Almost immediately, they heard energy blasts from the direction the ATV had gone. The hunters took the bait. Now go, Ethan said, giving Lyra a gentle push. Follow the main road. Don't stop for anything, Lyra hesitated. You're risking your life for me. Why? Ethan checked his shotgun. Because it's the right thing to do. And because if what you say is true, Earth is in danger too. He gave her a small smile. Besides, I always root for the underdog. Lyra touched his arm. Your courage will be remembered by my people, Ethan Keller. She turned and ran down the road. Ethan watched until she disappeared around a bend. Then he moved into the forest, circling back toward where the hunters had gone. If he could take out one more, Lyra's chances would be better. As he moved quietly through the trees, Ethan reflected on how quickly his quiet life had changed. Yesterday he was a small-town deputy. Today he was fighting aliens to protect a princess. Life was strange. He heard the hunters before he saw them. They had discovered the empty ATV and were talking in harsh, clicking language. Ethan crouched behind a fallen tree and watched. The two remaining Draxonians examined the jacket. One spoke into a device on its wrist. Ethan couldn't understand the words, but the tone was angry. He raised his shotgun, aiming carefully. One good shot might even the odds a little more. He took a deep breath and squeezed the trigger. Agent Samantha Walsh stared at the satellite images on her screen. 3 unidentified objects had entered Earth's atmosphere last night. A 4th had crashed near Mason Creek. This wasn't a meteor shower. Get me everything on the crash site, she ordered her team at Echo, a secret government agency that monitored unusual events, and find out who reported it first. Her analyst, Ben, handed her a file. Local Sheriff's Deputy Ethan Keller radioed in about a disturbance at Lake Serenity. Then he went off-grid. His patrol car was found abandoned near his cabin. Samantha studied Ethan's file. Former Special Forces, 3 combat tours, decorated for bravery. Now a small-town deputy. Interesting, she said. Let's find Deputy Keller. Meanwhile, Lyra reached the ranger station. Her blue skin and silver eyes caused the man behind the desk to drop his coffee mug. I need to find Cody, she said quickly. Ethan Keller sent me. The ranger stared at her. Lady, what kind of costume is that? It's not a costume, Lyra said impatiently. Earth is in danger. I need to speak with Cody immediately. The ranger slowly reached for his radio. Cody, you better come down here. There's a woman asking for you, says Ethan Center. A few minutes later, a tall man with a beard entered. He stopped when he saw Lyra. Well, I'll be damned, he said. When they said woman, they didn't mention blue. Are you Cody? Lyra asked. Yes, ma'am. Cody Miller. Ethan and I served together. He looked her up and down. What exactly are you? I am Princess Lyra of the Celestial Dominion. Ethan Keller saved my life. Now he's in danger. There are Draxonian hunters in the forest trying to kill us. Cody blinked a few times. Right, aliens, of course. He turned to the other ranger. Give us the room, Pete. Once they were alone, Cody's expression turned serious. Where's Ethan now? Creating a diversion to help me escape. He told me to call this number if he didn't arrive in an hour. She showed him Ethan's phone. Cody checked his watch. Let's give him 30 more minutes. Then I'm going after him. In the forest, Ethan's shotgun blast had hit one of the hunters in the shoulder. Yellow blood sprayed across the trees. The wounded Draxonian fired back wildly. Energy blast hitting trees and rocks. The second hunter was smarter. It circled around trying to flank Ethan. He saw the movement and rolled to a new position. Years of combat had taught him never to stay in one place. An energy blast hit too close. The heat singed Ethan's arm. He bit back a cry of pain and fired again, hitting the wounded hunter in the leg. It fell, hissing in pain. The second hunter charged, moving faster than Ethan expected. It tackled him, knocking the shotgun away. Ethan found himself staring into yellow eyes filled with hatred. The Draxonian was incredibly strong. Its hands locked around Ethan's throat. He couldn't breathe. Black spots danced in his vision. In desperation, Ethan reached for anything to use as a weapon. His hand found a sharp rock. He smashed it against the side of the hunter's head. The creature loosened its grip just enough. Ethan used the moment to drive his knee up into the Draxonian's midsection. It grunted but didn't let go. Ethan struck again with the rock, harder this time. The hunter's grip weakened. Ethan rolled, reversing their positions. Now on top, he hit the hunter repeatedly until it stopped moving. Gasping for breath, Ethan stood up. His throat was bruised, his arm burned, but he was alive. The wounded hunter was trying to crawl away. Ethan picked up his shotgun and approached cautiously. The hunter looked up at him with those strange yellow eyes. "More will come," it said in broken English. "The crystal will be ours." "Not today," Ethan replied and fired one final shot. Back at the ranger station, Cody was checking his weapons when a black SUV pulled up outside. 4 people in suits got out. The leader was a woman with short brown hair and intense eyes. "Government," Cody muttered to Lyra. "Stay behind me." The woman entered without knocking. She showed a badge. "Agent Samantha Walsh, Department of Energy. I'm looking for Ethan Keller." Cody stood his ground. "Haven't seen him." "This is a ranger station, ma'am. We deal with lost hikers and bear sightings." Samantha's eyes moved past him and locked onto Lyra. "And what do you deal with there?" Before Cody could answer, the door opened again. Ethan walked in, looking beaten but alive. He froze when he saw the agents. "Ethan Keller?" Samantha asked. "We need to talk about what crashed in Lake Serenity last night." Ethan moved to stand beside Lyra. "I don't know what you're talking about." Samantha smiled slightly. "Really? Because we have satellite images of an object entering Earth's atmosphere. We have your patrol car abandoned near the lake. And now we have you, looking like you've been in a fight standing next to someone who is clearly not human." She turned to her agents. "Secure the building." As the agents moved to close blinds and check other rooms, Samantha continued. "You're harboring an alien fugitive during what appears to be an invasion." "She's not a fugitive, she's royalty," Ethan corrected. "And it's not an invasion yet, but it will be if we don't help her." Lyra stepped forward, the Nexus crystal glowing in her hand. "I am Princess Lyra of the Celestial Dominion. My people have maintained peace across 12 galaxies for millennia. The Draxonians want to weaponize our technology. That's why they've come for me, for this." The crystal projected a holographic map of star systems that filled the room. Samantha's professional composure slipped for a moment as she stared in wonder. "I'll need you all to come with me," she said finally. "This is now a matter of national security." 3 hours later, they arrived at a hidden facility beneath Yellowstone National Park. Echoes. Headquarters was a maze of laboratories and command centers built deep underground. Lyra addressed a room of scientists and military officials, explaining the galactic situation. "The Draxonian Empire has already conquered 3 systems near your galactic arm. Earth is strategically valuable because of your sun's unique radiation signature, which can amplify the Nexus crystal's power 1,000-fold. The officials exchanged nervous glances. General Hayes, a stern man with gray hair, looked skeptical. "If what you're saying is true, why should we help you? Maybe we should hand you over to these Draxonians. Make a deal." "Because the Draxonians don't make deals," Ethan said, stepping forward. "They conquer. I've seen them kill." "They wouldn't be negotiating?" Samantha nodded. "Our satellite imagery shows the 3 objects that entered our atmosphere are now in orbit. They appear to be ships, and they're much larger than we initially thought." Lyra looked worried. "They're calling for reinforcements. We don't have much time. What exactly do you propose?" General Hayes asked. Lyra held up the crystal. "With this, we could advance your defensive capabilities enough to repel the initial Draxonian fleet. But I need time to attune it to your planet's specific frequency." The scientist murmured excitedly. One stepped forward, a woman with glasses and a curious expression. "How does it work?" "It harnesses stellar energy," Lyra explained. "Your sun is particularly compatible. With the right equipment, we could create a shield around your planet." General Hayes still looked doubtful. "And we're supposed to trust you with our planet's defense?" "You don't have a choice," Ethan said. "Those hunters I killed? They're nothing compared to what's coming." Samantha made the decision. "We'll help you. Echo has been developing an orbital defense platform in secret. If your crystal can power it, we might have a chance." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Lyra worked with the Echo scientists, explaining how to interface the crystal with Earth technology. Ethan and Cody helped where they could, but mostly they watched in amazement as human and alien science merged. "This is crazy," Cody whispered to Ethan. "Yesterday we were having beers, talking about fishing." Ethan smiled grimly. "Life comes at you fast." As they worked, alarms suddenly blared. Samantha rushed into the lab. "Security breach! Lower level!" On the monitors, they saw figures moving through the facility. Their bodies seemed to shift and change colors, blending with the surroundings. "Draxonian infiltrators," Lyra said, fear in her voice. How did they find us? Ethan studied the infiltrators' movement pattern. I've seen this before. Same tactics insurgents used in my last deployment. They're clearing rooms systematically. How many? General Hayes demanded. At least 6, Samantha said, checking the security feeds. They're heading for the main lab. They must know about the crystal. Ethan turned to Lyra. How close are you to finishing? I need at least another hour, she said. You just bought yourself that hour, Ethan replied. He turned to Cody. Like old times? Cody grinned and checked his weapon. Just like old times. Samantha handed them both Echo security badges. These will get you through any door in the facility. The armory is on sub-level 3. As Ethan and Cody headed out, Lyra caught Ethan's arm. Be careful, she said softly. I'm starting to understand why my instincts led me to trust you. Ethan nodded. Keep working on that shield. We'll handle the hunters. In the corridor, Cody checked his ammunition. So you're protecting an alien princess now? That's a step up from our last mission. Life's full of surprises, Ethan replied. Let's set up a choke point at the junction ahead. Force them to come to us. They moved quickly, setting up defensive positions. As they worked, Ethan couldn't help but think about how strangely right this felt. After years of trying to forget his combat skills, here he was using them again. This time to protect not just his country, but his entire planet. Commander Vex moved closer to Lyra, his yellow eyes fixed on the Nexus crystal. The lab equipment sparked and smoked from the explosion. Samantha lay unconscious against the far wall. Your family has fallen, Vex said. The celestial dominion is no more. Give me the crystal and I may let you live as a trophy of our victory. Lyra's silver eyes flashed with anger. My people are not defeated while I still stand. She pressed a final sequence on the control panel. The crystal pulsed brightly, sending energy to the orbital platform. On the screens, the shield around Earth grew stronger. Vex snarled and lunged forward. Lyra dodged, but he caught her arm. His grip was like iron. Foolish princess. Did you think one primitive planet could stop the Drexonian Empire? The door behind them burst open. Ethan and Cody rushed in, weapons raised. Let her go, Ethan commanded. Vex laughed, a harsh sound. Humans, so brave, so stupid. With his free hand, he aimed his weapon at them. Ethan fired first, the bullets hitting Vex's armor with little effect. The Drexonian commander returned fire. Cody pushed Ethan aside, taking the blast to his shoulder. He fell with a cry of pain. Cody, Ethan shouted, moving to his friend. I'm okay. Cody grunted, clutching his burned shoulder. Stop that thing. Vex dragged Lyra toward the crystal. When your planet's defenses are down, our fleet will turn this world to ash. Ethan looked around desperately for a weapon that might work against the Drexonian's armor. His eyes fell on a piece of equipment labeled Experimental Sonic Disruptor. He lunged for it, activated the device, and aimed it at Vex. The high-frequency sound waves hit the commander. Vex screamed, his sensitive hearing overwhelmed. His grip on Lyra loosened. Lyra broke free and ran to the crystal. The shield is at 40%. We need more time. Vex recovered quickly, his rage evident. He fired at Ethan, who dove behind a lab table. The energy blast melted the metal where he had been standing. You cannot win, human, Vex growled, stalking toward him. Your kind are beneath us, barely evolved animals. Ethan rolled to a new position, firing the sonic device again. This time Vex was ready, his helmet adapting to block the sound. Primitive technology, Vex mocked, like everything on this backward planet. As they fought, Lyra worked frantically at the controls. The crystal's glow intensified, filling the room with blue-white light. Ethan felt a strange warmth spreading through his body. It wasn't painful, it felt right somehow, as if something dormant was awakening. The shield is at 60%, Lyra called out. Just a little longer. Vex turned back to her. There will be no shield. He aimed his weapon at the crystal. Ethan didn't think. He just moved, faster than he ever had before. He threw himself between Vex and the crystal as the Drexonian fired. The energy blast hit Ethan square in the chest. He expected pain, expected to die. Instead, the energy seemed to flow into him, through him. The crystal pulsed in response, its light connecting with Ethan. Impossible, Vex whispered, stepping back. Ethan looked down at himself. His skin glowed with the same blue-white light as the crystal. He felt stronger, faster, more alive than ever before. Lyra stared in wonder. The Guardian gene. It's awakening. What's happening to me? Ethan asked, his voice steady despite his shock. Your DNA, Lyra explained quickly. Humans weren't just potential allies. You're distant relatives of my people. Your ancestors were seeded here millennia ago as a genetic reservoir in case the Draxonians ever gained the upper hand. Vex fired again in panic. This time, Ethan caught the energy blast in his hand. The light swirled around his fingers before dissipating harmlessly. That's why you're so adaptable, Lyra continued, her voice filled with excitement. Why you advanced so quickly despite your isolation. The Guardian gene was hidden in your DNA, waiting for contact with the crystal. Ethan looked at his glowing hands. He felt knowledge flowing into him. Knowledge of the crystal, of the celestials, of powers he never imagined. Vex backed toward the door. This changes nothing. The fleet is coming. One awakened human cannot stop us. Maybe not, Ethan said, his confidence growing. But I'm not alone. He looked at Lyra. How many humans carry this gene? Thousands, she said. Maybe millions. It varies in strength, but it's spread throughout your population. Vex snarled and lunged at Lyra again. Ethan moved with new speed, intercepting the Draxonian. The commander's strength was still impressive, but now Ethan matched it. They grappled, crashing into lab equipment. Vex's armor cracked under Ethan's enhanced strength. The commander's yellow eyes widened in surprise and fear. You should have left Earth alone, Ethan said through gritted teeth. He pushed Vex back with enough force to send him flying across the room. The Draxonian hit the wall hard and slumped to the floor. Lyra checked the monitors. Shield at 80%. The Draxonian ships are pulling back. Samantha groaned and sat up, touching her bleeding head. What the hell is happening? She asked, staring at the glowing Ethan. Cody laughed, despite his pain. I think my buddy just turned into some kind of superhero. Security teams rushed in, surrounding the fallen Vex. The commander glared at Ethan with hatred. This isn't over, Guardian. The Draxonian Empire spans galaxies. We will return with forces you cannot imagine. And we'll be ready, Ethan replied. As the security team took Vex away, Ethan felt the glow fading. The immediate danger was past, but he still felt different. Stronger, more aware. Lyra approached him, her silver eyes filled with emotion. Now you understand why I asked if you could protect me. I needed to know if the legends were true, if humans still carried the Guardian gene. You knew this would happen? Ethan asked. I hoped, Lyra admitted. The old story said Earth was seeded with our DNA as a failsafe. When my world fell, I came here not just to hide, but to find help. She touched his arm gently. I didn't expect it to manifest so strongly or so quickly. You must have a particularly pure lineage. Medical teams arrived, taking Cody and Samantha for treatment. Ethan stayed with Lyra in the lab, watching as the orbital shield reached full power. On the screens, they could see the Draxonian ships retreating. They'll be back, Lyra said softly. With more ships. Then we need to prepare, Ethan replied. How many more humans can access this Guardian gene? With the right exposure to the crystal's energy, many could awaken abilities like yours. Some might develop different gifts. The gene expresses itself uniquely in each individual. General Hayes entered the lab, looking at the glowing crystal and then at Ethan. Agent Walsh briefed me on what happened. Is it true? You have alien DNA? Ethan smiled slightly. Apparently my family tree is more interesting than I thought. The general didn't smile back. And there are others like you? Potentially, Lyra said. The gene is dormant in many humans. It would need to be activated. Hayes looked thoughtful. A team of super soldiers with alien powers. That could change everything. This isn't about creating weapons, General, Ethan said firmly. It's about protecting Earth. Of course, Hayes agreed quickly. Protection is our priority. Ethan didn't believe him. He could see the calculations behind the general's eyes. How to use this discovery for military advantage. Lyra sensed his concern. The Guardian gene doesn't work that way, she told Hayes. It responds to noble intent. It's meant to protect, not conquer. Try to weaponize it and it will fade. Hayes nodded, but Ethan could tell he wasn't convinced. Politics and power plays would come later. For now, they had won a reprieve. After the general left, Ethan turned to Lyra. What happens now? To you, I mean. Your homeworld is gone. Sadness crossed her face. I may be the last of the royal line, but there are celestial colonies in distant systems. Once Earth's defenses are secure, I need to find them, rally what forces remain. And then what? Take back your worlds? Eventually. But first we need alliances. Earth isn't the only planet threatened by the Draxonians. Together we might stand a chance. Ethan looked at the monitors showing Earth's new shield. It was beautiful, a shimmering blue bubble protecting his home. I still can't believe any of this is real. Yesterday I was giving out speeding tickets, Lyra smiled. Life changes quickly when the universe comes calling. So all humans are part... What, celestial? A very distant part, Lyra explained. The genetic seeding happened thousands of years ago. The Guardian gene is just a small fraction of your DNA now, but it's powerful when activated. Ethan flexed his hand, watching as traces of the blue-white energy still flickered across his skin. Will it stay active? Yes, though the visible effects will fade when not needed. The connection to the crystal has permanently awakened your abilities. And others can be awakened too, Lyra nodded. With proper exposure to the crystal's energy, yes, but it would need to be controlled. Too much too quickly could be dangerous. Ethan thought of the possibilities, an army of enhanced humans defending Earth against alien threats. It seemed like science fiction, yet here he was, living it. There's something else you should know, Lyra said, her voice more serious. Now that your Guardian gene is active, you'll age much more slowly. My people live for centuries. Ethan blinked in surprise. Centuries? It's a lot to process, I know. Before Ethan could respond, the lab door opened. Samantha entered, her head bandaged but her eyes alert. The Draxonian ships have left Earth orbit, she reported. They're heading toward the outer planets. Regrouping, Lyra said. Waiting for reinforcements. 2 weeks passed quickly. The Echo facility became the center of Earth's defense preparations. Scientists worked day and night to understand the Nexus crystal and its connection to human DNA. Military, leaders from around the world gathered to plan for the coming invasion. Ethan stood in the main control room, watching the global defense grid take shape on the monitors. The orbital platform powered by the crystal was now the center of a network of smaller satellites. Together they created a shield that covered the entire planet. Impressive, Samantha said, joining him. Her head wound had healed, leaving only a small scar near her temple. 2 weeks ago we didn't even know aliens existed. Now we're preparing to fight off an invasion. Humans adapt quickly, Ethan replied. It's our superpower, apparently. His own adaptation had been remarkable. With Lyra's guidance, he had learned to control the Guardian energy that now flowed through him. He could channel it to enhance his strength, speed, and senses. He could even direct small bursts of energy from his hands, not enough to match Draxonian weapons, but enough to be useful in a fight. How many others have tested positive? He asked. 57 so far, Samantha said, all showing varying levels of the Guardian gene. None as strong as yours, though. They had tested thousands of people, focusing on military personnel first. Those with active markers in their DNA were brought to the facility for exposure to controlled doses of the crystal's energy. The results varied. Some developed enhanced strength like Ethan. Others showed different abilities: heightened intelligence, accelerated healing, energy manipulation. A few showed no changes at all. Where's Lyra? Ethan asked. Communications room. She finally made contact with one of the celestial colonies. Ethan found Lyra surrounded by communication equipment. Her face was animated as she spoke in her native language to a holographic figure. The alien had the same blue skin and silver eyes as Lyra, though his clothing was different. When she finished, Lyra turned to Ethan with hope in her eyes. Commander Thalen of New Celestia. They received my distress signal. They're sending ships. How many? How soon? 3 battlecruisers. They'll arrive in approximately 6 Earth days. Her smile faded. The Draxonian fleet will be here in 4. Ethan nodded grimly. So we hold them off for 2 days. Against at least 20 warships. The odds weren't good, but Ethan had faced bad odds before. We've got the shield. And we've got 57 awakened Guardians. 58 now, came a voice from the doorway. Cody stood there, his injured shoulder healed. A faint blue glow flickered across his skin. Turns out I've got the gene too. Not as strong as yours, but enough to make a difference. Ethan grinned at his friend. Welcome to the club. General Hayes called an emergency meeting that evening. Representatives from major world governments attended via secure video links. Lyra presented the latest intelligence on the approaching Draxonian fleet. 23 warships, she said, showing holographic images of the vessels, including one dreadnought class commanded by High General Krell. He's ruthless, even by Draxonian standards. Can our shield hold against that much firepower? The British Prime Minister asked. Lyra hesitated. Not indefinitely. Eventually they'll find a way through or around it. Then we need a more proactive strategy, Hayes said. We can't just sit behind our shield and hope for the best. What do you suggest? The Chinese president asked. Hayes looked at Ethan. Lieutenant Keller has a proposal. All eyes turned to Ethan. During his military career, he had never addressed world leaders. Now he stood before them, explaining a plan to defend Earth from alien invasion. Life was strange. The shield is our primary defense, he began. But it's not enough. We need to take the fight to them. He pulled up a holographic display of Earth and the approaching fleet. I propose a strike team. A small group of Guardians using Lyra's escape pod, which we've modified with Echo technology. We launch before the Draxonians arrive, position ourselves in the asteroid belt, and hit them from behind when they engage Earth's defenses. A suicide mission, the Russian president said bluntly. High risk, Ethan acknowledged. But if we can disable even a few of their ships, it might be enough to hold them until the celestial reinforcements arrive. The room erupted in debate. Some leaders thought the plan too dangerous. Others saw it as their best chance. Through it all, Lyra watched Ethan with a mixture of pride and concern. Finally, Hayes called for a vote. The result was narrow but clear. The mission was approved. We launch in 36 hours, Hayes announced. Lieutenant Keller will select his team. After the meeting, Lyra found Ethan in the hangar bay where technicians were working on her escape pod. The small vessel had been modified with Earth weapons and stealth technology. You didn't tell me about this plan, she said quietly. Ethan continued checking the pod systems. I wasn't sure it would be approved. It's incredibly dangerous. So is letting a Draxonian fleet reach Earth unchallenged. Lyra touched his arm, making him look at her. You've already done more than anyone could ask. You don't have to lead this mission. Ethan covered her hand with his. Yes, I do. The Guardian gene is strongest in me. I have the best chance of making a difference out there. Lyra knew he was right, but that didn't make it easier. In the short time they had known each other, a bond had formed between them, built on shared danger and mutual respect, but growing into something more. Then I'm coming with you, she declared. Lyra, you're the last of your royal line. You can't risk— I'm coming, she repeated firmly. The pod responds best to celestial DNA. You need me. Ethan saw the determination in her silver eyes and nodded. All right. We leave at dawn. The next day, Ethan selected his team. Cody, whose Guardian abilities included enhanced reflexes and tactical insight. Maya Chen, a former Air Force pilot whose gene gave her unprecedented spatial awareness. And Dr. Leo Reyes, a physicist whose awakened abilities allowed him to intuitively understand and manipulate energy systems. With Lyra and Ethan, they made a team of 5. As they prepared to board the pod, Samantha approached with last-minute intelligence. Our deep space sensors detected something strange. There's a second fleet following the Draxonians. More of their ships? Ethan asked with concern. We don't think so. The energy signatures are different. They're maintaining distance, staying just out of the Draxonian sensor range. Lyra's eyes widened. Could be celestial. Or another race entirely. Either way, it changes nothing for us, Ethan said. We stick to the plan. As the launch countdown began, Ethan took one last look at Earth through the hangar bay windows. The blue planet shimmered beneath its new shield. Whatever happened next, he had found his purpose. Protector of Earth. The escape pod launched smoothly, accelerating away from Earth. Lyra piloted while the others monitored systems. The modified vessel was cramped but functional. Setting course for the asteroid belt, Lyra announced. We'll reach position in 18 hours, well before the Draxonian fleet arrives. The journey gave them time to finalize their strategy. The plan was to hide among the asteroids, then strike at the Draxonian fleet's rear guard when they engaged Earth's defenses. If we can disable their command ship's engines, Ethan explained, it will cause confusion in their ranks. That might buy us the time we need. As they approached the asteroid belt, Leo's instruments detected something unusual. There's an energy signature hiding among the larger asteroids. Definitely not natural. Draxonian scouts? Cody suggested. No, Lyra said, checking her own sensors. It's celestial technology. She adjusted their course toward the signal. As they drew closer, a ship appeared from behind a large asteroid. It was sleek and silver, with lines similar to Lyra's escape pod but much larger. A celestial scout ship, Lyra breathed. They must have sent it ahead of the main fleet. The ship hailed them. On their screen appeared a blue-skinned man in a silver uniform. Princess Lyra, he said, bowing his head. I am Captain Darien of New Celestia. We feared you were lost. Captain, Lyra replied, her voice thick with emotion. I am not the only survivor, then. No, Your Highness. Several royal cousins escaped to our colonies, but you are the highest-ranking member of the royal family still alive. He looked at the humans with curiosity, and I see the legends of Earth were true. Ethan stepped forward. We don't have much time, Captain. A Draxonian fleet will reach Earth in less than 2 days. Darien nodded. We know. Our main fleet is still 3 days away, but I have 2 more scout ships nearby. We were planning our own ambush. Then let's combine forces, Ethan suggested. The new alliance quickly developed a joint strategy. The celestial scout ships had technology far beyond Earth's, including energy weapons that could penetrate Draxonian shields. We'll target their propulsion systems, Captain Darien explained. Immobilize as many ships as possible. While we go for their command ship, Ethan added. With the plan set, they moved into position among the asteroids and waited. Hours passed in tense silence. Then their sensors lit up. Draxonian fleet incoming, Leo announced. 23 ships, just as we expected. On their view screen, they watched the massive warships approach Earth. At the center of the formation was the Dreadnought, a ship so large it dwarfed all others. That's High General Krell's command ship, Lyra said. If we can disable it, the others will be in disarray.